that. I mean, I've, as you might know, spent a lot of my adult life working with the police, and for me and for them, it's a dreadful blow, and that's over and above the total devastation for Sarah Everard's parents that they must be feeling. It's unimaginable. But the fact that this man was a serving police officer when he committed the crime is just horrifying, really, and has made all of us think hard about A, how it happened in the first place, and B, how we can prevent it in the future.
How damaged are the police as a result of what happened?
Well, I think, as you heard yesterday from senior police officers, they recognise that this has struck a devastating blow to the confidence that people have in police officers out in the public realm, but also in the Met Police in particular. The circumstances that were revealed yesterday around the way this awful monster perpetrated his crime using the cover of being a police officer raises a question mark in everybody's minds. And from my point of view, while it's obviously a terrible, terrible catastrophe for Sarah Everard and her family, for those thousands and thousands of police officers out there who will have to work harder, much harder, to win the public trust in the realm, and particularly those of individuals, it is a very, very difficult time.
The Labour MP, Harriet Harman, believes that Cressida Dick, the head of the Met, should stand down. Why do you think she should keep her job?
Look, Kay, being the Met Commissioner is, I think, one of the possibly top three most difficult jobs in the country. You handle enormous risk. You're dealing with an organisation which is capable of amazing things, but at the same time, things can go badly wrong, as they have done in this circumstance. And what I want in a policing leader is when awful calamities like this happen, and I think, as Cressida said yesterday, this is probably the worst moment in the 192-year history of the Metropolitan Police, that when these awful things happen, I want a police leader who's transparent, willing to learn, willing to change, and has a conviction and a commitment not to be defensive about the failings of the organisation. And I think that's what we're seeing in Cressida Dick.
When there are failings of an organisation, it's the chief executive's responsibility to take responsibility. She is, to all intents and purposes, the chief executive. It's not the first time on her watch that there have been significant failings. Why should she keep her job?
Well, as I said, Kay, it is the most difficult job. And in my experience, having worked with Cressida over many years in a number of positions, she is a dedicated and talented and committed police officer who is driving the Metropolitan Police to ever greater standards of care and improvement and fighting crime. And she is committed to whatever changes come out of the lessons learned of this horrible episode. And that's what I want in a police leader, someone who's willing to change, frankly, not just in the Metropolitan Police, but across the whole of UK policing. And we are going through a period of change in policing. The fact that we're recruiting all these extra police officers, and don't forget, to get to our 20,000 extra, we've got to recruit a gross recruitment of about 45,000 officers altogether, is a shot of youth and energy and different thinking into British policing, which I hope will start to change the culture for the better.
Yeah, OK. So a serving police officer arrests somebody, allegedly, puts their hands behind their back in handcuffs, puts them in a vehicle, drives them for 2 hours, rapes them on the back of the seat, takes them out of the vehicle, puts them in a fridge, burns them, hides their phone, and then goes about their normal business, exchanges text messages with 15 other Metropolitan Police officers who are now also all under investigation on her watch.
Yeah, look, the incident itself is, as you laid out, Kay, is just devastating. I mean, I can't get away from that, and I know that all the Metropolitan Police officers that I know will be similarly ashamed and devastated by it. The question in our mind is what went wrong, right? My job is effectively to help the Home Secretary to hold the police to account about what went wrong, how this monster slipped through the net to become a police officer, how we can make sure it doesn't happen again, and what we need to learn. I mean, as you said, there are a number of investigations and inquiries taking place around this case, which I can't comment on. But as those conclude, what we learn about how we can make sure the police is a better organisation and has the trust, unquestioning trust of the British people. And I don't think there's any question that that's been shaken by these events.
More than 750 Metropolitan Police employees have faced sexual misconduct allegations since 2010. Only 83 of those 750 have been sacked. 750 Metropolitan Police employees face sexual misconduct allegations since 2010, many of them on her watch.
Look, Kay, obviously it's important that we have a very, very robust internal investigation function, and one that is independent, that could look at any allegation. And there are obviously lots of allegations made against police officers in the course of their duty. We have revamped the police investigations structure over the last couple of years. The Independent Office of Police Conduct now looks at all sorts of complaints that are lodged with them by the public. But critically also, the Met Police in particular have ramped up their internal professional standards organisation, if you like, and in particular their vetting. So, for example, earlier this year, they started routine vetting of officers' social media output to make sure that they were picking up whatever intelligence they can. Look, there's going to be lots of lessons that we need to learn from this horrible episode. And, you know, my job, as I say, is to hold the police to account, make sure they learn those lessons and they implement the actions that are needed to make sure we can avoid this kind of horrible incident in the future.
My son's girlfriend is, say, approached by who claims to be an undercover officer as she's walking home tomorrow. What do I tell her to do?
Well, the first thing to say is officers rarely deploy singly. When officers are sworn as a constable, they do actually swear that if there's an incident and they're off duty, i.e. in plain clothes, that they have a duty to intervene to protect life and safeguard the public. But if anybody has any doubts about a police officer, then obviously they should question the officer about what they're doing and why they're doing it. If there are any doubts at all, they should ask to either speak to the control room using the officer's radio, or if in doubt, call 999 and ask a question. But
what sort of society have we come to, Mr. Malthouse, where we are so doubting of somebody who says they're a police officer that we think that we have to dial 999 to check?
Well, Kay, I completely understand. And that is as I say, the devastating consequence of this awful man's actions, is that he's undermined the good work of thousands and thousands of police officers, not just the current serving ones, but all those police officers that have served over the decades previously. And it's worth remembering that, of course, that those thousands of police officers across the country are doing amazing things every day to keep us safe. But these kind of stories do raise question marks in people's minds. I can understand, particularly given the circumstances. And I think it would be perfectly reasonable in similar circumstances for somebody to question the officer, seek reassurance. If that means asking them to identify themselves by speaking to the control room or calling in 999 if they feel in danger, then I'm afraid that's where we've got to.